If you're not familiar with computer science, it might seem as if artificial intelligence just appeared out of nowhere as a brainchild of Silicon Valley companies, but that's not the case. Artificial intelligence is actually an established research field within computer science that was started in the 50s. And it already went through several periods of hype and excitement, followed by periods of reduced funding and interest that we call AI winters. Now, it doesn't seem like another AI winter is coming soon, but it's still worth keeping in mind that this field has quite an interesting history, and to understand the mindset and the way of thinking of researchers in the field. On that note, I have a personal story to share. About 5 years ago, I was a bit fed up with tech startups and decided to enroll in a PhD program in computer science. As part of that program, we had a research ethics course, which I found really interesting. One thing that I found particularly interesting was discovering that my faculty didn't have an institutional review board, IRB, which is essentially a committee of senior researchers, scientists who review research proposals and give it an ethical go or no go. Usually, IRBs are used in health and social sciences where they do research on human subjects, and obviously, you want to ensure no human subject are physically or psychologically harmed during the research. So it's less common in fields like computer science, but not unheard of. And I brought that up as part of the course and asked the question, and it was dismissed a bit because, it's computer science, we don't need that. And I found that interesting because one of my classmates in the PhD program was doing research and developing algorithms on how to use ear shapes for biometric identification. And you probably don't need a lot of imagination to imagine how this technology could be misused for surveillance purposes. But nobody seems to really be concerned about that because it was, fascinating research, an interesting application of machine learning, so everything was fine. And while I was at the faculty, I also heard senior researchers complaining about this silly ethics thing that was taking up space at their very serious conferences that they were attending. And what a essentially waste of time that was, because it was distracting them from hard computer science they were doing, and that they are just computer scientists, they are doing hard science and serious research, and it's not really their place to worry about this pesky ethics thing. And essentially that the soft sciences people should take care of that. Anyway, the discussion was basically how ethics was just a distraction from the real science they were doing as computer scientists. Now, it will probably come as no surprise that these researchers were all men, cis white men who don't have to worry about their safety as they walk around the world, who don't have to worry about being profiled by the police because they have privilege and status in the society as scientists, researchers, and obviously white cis men. And it's also not surprising that the field of AI ethics is now being spearheaded by women and other marginalized people who are otherwise, excellent machine learning experts as well, but because they see these issues in the field, they are now sounding the alarm, in some cases losing their jobs, losing their funding because they are taking on the less funded and less respected field of AI ethics. Mia Dunt published a great timeline of AI ethics milestones that highlights contributions by women on Medium. If you want to learn more about AI algorithmic bias, I highly recommend the book Weapons of Math Destructions by Katie O'Neill and the more recent Atlas of AI by Kate Crawford. And there's other great suggestions in Mia Dunt's Medium article, and I'll have all these links up on my blog. But you know who's getting a bigger platform these days as artificial intelligence is exploding in popularity? Well, obviously men who are just now realizing that their work might have some serious impacts and harms on society. Who knew? Well, the women knew, for one. As an example, take this 7,000 long, over 30 minutes long read profile on Joseph Weizenbaum. I keep seeing this article recommended everywhere, and from what I could see, yes, it does have some good history and insight, but for the same reason I refuse to sit through the 3 hours of the Oppenheimer movie. I refuse to read this article because I would prefer to read stories from women who were fired, who were edged out of machine learning research because of their interest in the soft AI ethics and, these unimportant topics. Now, back to my story. I ended up leaving the PhD program after a year because the faculty just wasn't a good fit for me, and I ended up actually going back to a tech startup. But I keep getting reminded of that experience and the conversations I witnessed as I now read about all these godfathers, or grandfathers, as I prefer to call them, of artificial intelligence who are suddenly having epiphanies about the potential harms and misuses of artificial intelligence. And so, in the past couple of years, I got involved in the field of responsible tech from a more practical perspective. But to be completely honest, I am tempted to leave almost every day because I am simply fed up by the arrogance, especially of men who just don't think about the consequences of their work and blindly pursue the development of this new fire magic that they unleash on the world for profit and just pure excitement, and let's see what happens because I know I'm in a pretty good position. I have my underground bunker, I have my tenure, whatever. My status, my position in society is pretty secure, so let's have a bit of fun with it and unleash this fire on the world. But leaving the field would mean giving up what little power I have, and as a Scorpio rising, I don't give up that easily. And this is also why I started making these videos. And I know I probably won't reach a large audience, and I would probably get way more views if I talked about prompt engineering and how you can use AI for productivity, but that's not the game I want to be playing. But hopefully I can reach at least some of you in thinking and talking about the tech we consume and create, and the context in which this magic technology of artificial intelligence was developed. So if you're still watching this video, I would love to hear some of your thoughts or questions in the comments.